Hello, everybody, and welcome to Startup Con Live, Day 3. This session is about scaling your big idea, and Leo Nofsky is going to be interviewing Eric. Am I saying this right? Shashua? How do you spell?
Yes, Shashua.
Shashua, like Joshua. Got it. All right, so Leo Nofsky is an expert in coaching entrepreneurs and teaching them how to craft their pitch and to learn how to craft their message and speak with power. So you can learn more by following Leo. And I'm excited to hear this next presentation with Eric. So take it away, Leo. I'll be in the background if you need me.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Bye, Eric.
Awesome. Hey.
It's great to see you again, Leo.
Oh my God. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, honor, and a privilege. And for those of you who are listening, one of the things I want to, again, before we start, remind you of two things. One, if you find value in what we're doing here, go on our website, startupconlive.com, and register. That will allow you to lock in any kind of specials that we're going to have afterwards, extra giveaways and things like that. But more importantly, continue this conversation. Second, if you have questions, for myself or Eric during this hour, put \Q space and then write your question. It will come up on the left here at the questions, and then we can actually take your questions that way. And I guess the third thing, we have Jonathan at the in the background, so he'll be able to connect with you and get any of your questions answered that way. Hey, this is Lori.
Hi, welcome, Eric. Thank you for joining our conference. We're looking forward to you sharing with us today. Leo, I'm just coming in because it's /, not \.
/Q. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Cheers. Have a great session.
It's a great team, as you could see. We have 3 co-hosts and 2 people in the back making all this magic happen. So in the way of introduction of Eric, I met Eric about 2 weeks ago, or maybe even less than that, maybe actually a week ago. He was pitching as part of Keiretsu Forum, which is the largest angel investment network in the world. And here in the Northwest, we have a chapter. And I hear about 10 pitches a week. And being an entrepreneur myself and a coach of entrepreneurs, this is something that I really value. More specifically, how does the pitch align with the vision and authenticity of the founder? And how well does the knowledge get transferred? Because that's not easy. And when I heard Eric's pitch, I was floored. It was, if not the best, then one of the best pitches I've ever heard. And so I had to have him here. And it was best not just because of how he presented, which is his own unique way, and I'm sure we'll share with you some of what he does. But more specifically is the vision and the execution of that vision, which is what today, the third day of Startup Con Live, is about: scaling, launching your business. So the idea is, the question we're going to tackle is, you have a big idea, you build your big idea, you're ready to scale that big idea. What's at stake? What needs to happen? So take it away, Eric. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and what is it that what drives you? What is your passion?
Thank you. It's really an honor to be here. Startup Con. This is a really neat conference you guys are doing. So I'm based in New York City. I'm a serial entrepreneur. My last company was called Zeo. It was a consumer tech wearable in sleep, and my current company is called Zive, and it's a consumer software company focused on productivity software. And the first thing we've done is we've taken Gmail out of the browser, and we've turned it into a complete email client. We haven't been on the market very long. It's extremely popular, growing very quickly, and there's nothing that's been done like it before. So it took us a couple of years.
It's
so that's really fun,
right? CIVE.com.
Kiwiforgmail.com.
Oh, but your overall
Kiwi like the fruit, FOR.
Yep.
Oh, my old company, the whole company.
No.
Yeah, Zive.
The Zive. Does it have your overall company is Zive, right?
No, we just have a URL for Kiwi for Gmail, but yeah, the company is Zive.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what drove you? We had a discussion after your pitch, and I suggested that one thing, it was one of the best opening of a pitch that I've heard, and then I made a suggestion of the question that you had at the very end to bring it forward. So why don't we start there?
Right.
And tell me about your previous company and what happened, and how does what happened affects what you do now?
Right. Thank you. So I think that really fits with the theme. So my last company was, I'm getting a little bit of an echo, but my last company was called Zeo. We developed it. I started this out of undergrad university. I was a senior at Brown University studying computer science. I got a couple of students together, and we built a consumer electronic product for sleep. So basically, it was something that would read your actual brainwaves while you were sleeping. Is still to this day the most advanced consumer sleep wearable for sleep. And we built that up, got a lot of really great people behind us, raised a lot of money from VCs and so forth, and sold that product nationally and internationally.
How much money did
we
you
raised? $30 million total. $30 million.
$30 million.
So, right, $30 million. And so we built that up. It took us $5 million just to be able to bring it to market. We were sold through Best Buy nationally. We were sold through Apple, flew us out to Cupertino, featured us in Apple stores across Europe. It was really a very neat thing. But in the end, we succeeded in building that to a $14 million business, but we'd raised too much money to do that. And so it wasn't a great exit. And so a lot of what I've done since is, tried to understand why was that, and why was it that we built it to that didn't become a larger company.
So just to summarize, which is one of my clarification and my skills and goals, is Eric built a $14 million company, but he raised $30 million to do it.
Right.
So it's a beautiful conundrum. It's a beautiful talk about tension and creation, right? So the idea is you can't do such a thing as raise too much money, and how to use it. So then of course you've learned something from it, a lot of.
Right.
So what is it that you've learned, and what is it that you've learned, and how is that affecting what you're doing now? Oh, and somebody's asking, does this product still exist, and can it still be purchased? The answer is
unfortunately. It can't. There is a very active aftermarket for it. There are lots of people who are still passionate users for it. So I think you could get one that is pre-owned on Amazon.
What is it called again?
It's called Zeo, Z-E-O, the Zeo Personal Sleep Coach. So yeah, there are a few things that I've learned. I'll try to be brief about them. One of the things that I learned is not to raise too much money. I decided after that venture to go back to my roots in software and focus on building a software company, because software it doesn't take as much money to bring something to market. It doesn't take as much money to test an idea, and you can wind up, as a founder. I think.
Hold on one second, Eric. One moment. There's a little static on your line. Do you want to just refresh?
Okay.
Just refresh the browser and see what happens, because you have an awesome mic, but something is not working. So let's see.
All right, let me try that. Just a second.
We'll have him there in a second. But as you guys can see, this is a very, very instructive and unique opportunity to learn something from someone who's been it, done it. And so continue. Let's see if you sound better this time.
Yeah, hopefully this will sound better. So
Perfect.
So I raised too much money. I wanted to get back to something that would take less. And as a founder, I think one of the things you look at is, when a company eventually exits, how much do you wind up owning of that company? One way is you can raise lots and lots of money from VCs and own a much smaller piece of the pie at the end. Another way is that you can do a venture that doesn't take as much money to raise, has a smaller exit, but you wind up kind of in the same place at the end of it. And I think that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs don't really consider until they've done something like this once. So that was one thing. Another thing I learned was that I think the other biggest thing about the last product was that it was a product which was kind of difficult to market. So it wound up having it wound up having a target audience, which was people who tended to be more difficult to reach and more of a niche product as a result. When you have a product which is kind of a consumer health product, that's a tech product before wearables became a category, there was no real place to sell that, no real place to find the audience easily that you could market to or put ads up so that people could discover you. And that, I think, is one of the main reasons why the product of the company wound up being built as a $14 million company and not a $140 million company.
So Frank, who is introduced me and who is the CFO by trade, and has one of his companies is going public. Eric, going public like next week. He made a really good comment here. He said, extremely important message. It is not about how much you raise, but how much you can hold on to, and what is it worth at the exit. What is it worth at the exit? And thinking about this ahead of time, right? I mean, won't you clap for me if you agree that raising too much money is a good problem to have? Like you'd want to struggle with that at some point. Just say, I just raised too much money. Too many VCs are interested in me. Too many private jets. I just can't handle it, right? What? No one.
It is, you know,
problem? Yeah,
it is a fortunate position to be in for sure. I think the problem that a lot of entrepreneurs have is they have difficulty turning away from that money.
That's it.
When it can come in. How do you you feel like you've arrived? You know, a lot of people want to put
using you as a pronoun, use I as a pronoun. So what happened when you got that money? What was how did that reflect for you?
We felt fantastic. We were able to pull all that in. It's huge validation, and we felt like we were going to be able to do a lot with the business as a result. And
so, I just want to point out something, guys. So the difference between that validation and validation that Leo Lam and I were talking about in day one, where through Kickstarter, Sancerre raised $800,000 by selling 500 of its units. Both of them are validation, but they're very different validations, right? Because if you had the validation from the investors,
right,
and maybe even from retailers, right? But it wasn't necessarily the validation from the customers. That's really powerful.
Exactly, and that's the bottom line of building a business. You have to have customers, and that's one of the things with with some kinds of ventures. You know, you can't really get to a place where you have that validation from customers before you have to raise millions of dollars. With a hardware or consumer tech hardware startup, just pouring the molds to mold the plastic and things in China will cost you a few $100,000. So you really do have to raise that funding with those things. And that's one of the reasons why I went back into software, because I think you can compete very effectively in software. There's a lot of bad quality out there, but it doesn't require that same amount of millions in order to be able to bring something to market.
Perfect. And by the way, guys, if you are loving this, if you're going like, oh my God, because that's how I feel when I talk to him, tweet it out right now. Tell your friends, call them. Like, you know, that old phone calls, like, dude, you got to hear this, or tweet it out once we finish the recording and send it to your people, because this advice, I actually can evaluate this advice, guys. Check this out. This is $44 million advice, right? It's 30 million he raised, 14 million he earned. Total opportunity advice, $44 million pre-money advice valuation. All right, you got to send that out. All right.
So, I wish someone could have told me this when I was starting out.
Oh, you're getting static again.
I'm sorry about that. Let me.
That's all right. I don't want any words of yours going non-crisply. So if you need to restart or pull back from the microphone, Frank is suggesting, but I don't think that's the case.
Let me try that.
No, it's jiggle the jack to the mic. Lori said we have a lot of.
Okay, let me try refreshing the browser.
Yep, just again. Refresh. All right. So again, recap, right? Eric has built right out of college with the right team, raised a lot of money, the right amount of money to build a company selling something that is satisfies and there is a need for it. He attracted attention of venture capitalists and raised $30 million before he made any money. I'm not even sure what value. What is it? Is that a secret? What valuation were you using to raise $30 million?
Yeah, I don't think that I can.
Perfect. Not a problem. Not a problem. I didn't think so, but I just wanted to check. And so he raised that, and then he was able to bring his dream to reality. But the exit was $14 million, and that was half of what people put in. So nevertheless, this is what makes an entrepreneur valuable. This is not wasted money. It makes Eric more investable. So those of you who are afraid to try out and raise your money and try things, and this is one place where failure is considered to be a badge of honor if you can learn from it. So that's what that's what impressed me about Eric. And not that he failed, but what he learned from it. So let's shift gears and let's talk about Kiwi and for Gmail and what it stands for. Right.
So there are a couple things that I think are really key for entrepreneurs to understand that I wish someone had told me when I started. We built, with this venture, we took Gmail. So there are 900 million Gmail users worldwide. Google said in May. You've got the average age is 31, and 80% of them tend to use Gmail on the browser. So as their primary way of using email on the computer, they use Gmail in the browser. So we thought, okay, let's take that experience and turn that into something which is a complete, seamless desktop user experience. And that's what we did. And so that we launched this summer, and it's growing very rapidly. It's extremely popular. People start using it, and they use Gmail in much more demanding ways than they ever have before, which is really incredible. The things that I learned to do that, one is that is this. I see a lot of entrepreneurs who get up and they focus on making a product that people will love, and that's commendable. But what they have to also focus on is having a product that is marketable. There are a lot of products out there that are great ideas that people will love when they use them, but that you can't really get people to pay attention to. And that's the thing that I feel a lot of entrepreneurs.
There's just too many pithy ideas. That's my advice as a speech coach to you is after you say something incredible, just stop and let it sink in. Seriously, swallow, breathe, because you have that power. So what you just said is that it's commendable to create a product that really works and that serves the need and that people will love when they use it. But that's not
enough.
That is not the proof. That's not validation. Or it is validation, but it's a different, it's not enough of validation. The validation, the next piece is marketability and reachability and creating a platform for delivery. Because what I would argue with Zia is that the issue was not reaching, it was not the product issue. It was a distribution problem.
Right.
The same problem that I had
exactly.
with Fitness Arch. When I started my fitness equipment company, I have an awesome product that serves the need and that validated blah, blah, blah. And the distribution wasn't set up right. I went on a set of awesome assumptions that did not work.
Right.
Okay, so now you're doing it differently. You're creating a Gmail, you're building on top of Gmail, which already has the users. That's your distribution model. And so what is it that you're giving your clients?
What I'm giving them is, I'm giving them basically an improvement, a massive improvement over what they're already doing in the browser. It's much easier for them to get it. They don't have to go out to a store or wait for a week for it to be delivered. We're able to, two things. One, we're able to distribute through a channel where there isn't a lot of noise. That is the Mac App Store.
Distribute through the channel that does not have a lot of noise. Guys, tweet that out. Distribute through the channel that does not have a lot of noise. That's the blue ocean strategy. Next.
Nice. Yeah. Because then you're then you're discovered, right? Then people can see you.
By the way, before you continue with the second one, I just want you to know, as you were talking about Gmail, the guy in the back end, Jonathan, was having a
Okay.
blab orgasm. He was tweeting, he was clapping for you, saying like, "Oh, OMG, that's what I need." It was hilarious. Yes, I could just see him going going crazy. So go ahead. So the first one is the first advice. The first thing that you're doing is distributing through the channel that doesn't have a lot of noise. Next.
Right. And by the way, anyone who's listening to this, if you tweet about us, if you tweet Kiwi for Gmail, then we will we'll find you and we'll get you a free copy of the full version of Kiwi for Gmail. So all you have to do is tweet about us, hashtag SEL Blab 15, and we'll get that over to you. So
it's
thank you.
Kiwi, so at Kiwi for Gmail, right?
At Kiwi for Gmail. That's our Twitter handle. So
yeah,
do that,
and
then
before you guys get overly like excited, right now it's only on the Apple OS, right? Am I correct?
Right. That's correct. So we launched on Mac, so it's on Mac only at this point.
For now.
For
now. So
now.
But and there's a reason for that, which is beautiful. But continue. So you got the first rule of distribution through a channel with little noise. Next.
Right. Number 2 is finding a marketing channel where you can actually reach people with a kind of product that can be reached through it. So for us with Kiwi for Gmail, our audience is millennials, people who are 18 to 35 years old. That is our target early adopter. Those people tend to be on social media a lot. And so if you have that kind of audience, you can reach them through social media. My last company, it was difficult to reach them through anything other than retail. If you advertised a product which was a sleep wearable online and so forth, it was difficult to get that out to them. But with this application for Gmail, marketing through a channel that is efficient, where you can reach people without having to spend millions of dollars building that channel up into something effective, like you have to do for print and for direct response TV, like infomercials, or for online, or for retail. That's much more efficient. That works much better. So pick your audience. Pick your channel so that you don't have to have a huge budget to reach people, and do that beforehand when you're planning the product.
When planning the product, also plan your audience and plan your channel.
Right.
Okay. Plan your audience, plan your channel at the same time as you plan your product. Build your product. So that's going back to dream it, so that's what you started with that end in mind. Now that you've gone through that painful piece. The benefit of experience. I want to ask you just a quick side note, and that is about the device, the sleep device. Did you try, you sound like you went to business to consumer, B2C. Did you at any one point try to make it a prescription device that could be used for any sleep disorders? Have you ever?
That's a great question. We thought about doing that, and we had technology which was strong enough to be able to build into that. The problem was, if you do that, if you try to develop a medical device out of something, you have to add 5 years to your minimum, to your time horizon to get to launch, because you have to go through the FDA. There are lots of approvals. So that's why a lot of companies can tend to go to B2C first, including Apple with the Apple Watch. They've been asked about that publicly too. And they said, we're going to B2C first. But I'm
just suggesting that they're often where many my experience where many startups go wrong is that it's not in the product, it's in the distribution. And one of the major assumptions that needs to be really validated, that's the operative word today, is validation, is thoroughly validated, is B2C versus B2B. Because each one has its own pros and cons, but one is better suited for the other. So for FitnessArch, for me, I went to B2C for the same reason as you went to B2C, because it's a lot easier to, I went to B2B because I wanted to get the name recognition. Okay. And I wanted to go through physical therapists and whatnot. And as it turned out, that was the wrong strategy. And I didn't raise enough money because I went that way. But there are very often the opposite effect. And I would argue well, since the first one didn't work, it's easy for me to say that. But there's a potential opportunity to do that with the other products. So just remember, when you're thinking about your own products, make that distinction and test it out. You might be 100% sure that it's one versus the other, but you do not know that until you fully validate it. What do you think about that, Eric?
I think that's very true, and I think that you have to be very deliberate about planning those things ahead of time too. I think that going B2C, if you're a consumer tech product, a little bit different from your product, Leo, but if you're a consumer tech product or your software, B2C, you're selling people based on making a really sexy user experience, something which really draws them in, that they love. B2B, you're selling the IT administrator and the CIO of a company. So you're selling people who they stay in their jobs based on minimizing risk. So it's kind of the opposite. You don't sell them on like, here's this sexy new thing that you should try out with all your people, because if they try it and it doesn't work, they get fired. So those are very different types of things. I like going B2C with consumer tech because you can really build something that pushes the envelope. And I would encourage anyone on the line to do that too.
So that is a beautiful thing. So the risk aversion versus the pain versus pleasure, right? Sexy versus like pain aversion, right? Are you going to be a star if you adopt this, you're going to be a star and get promoted in your company? Or are you going to be able to impress someone or do something well or create something? So that's right. Yeah. So Lori's saying golden. Yeah. So what happened now? Now that you are doing that, you started with that premise in mind. You focused on your delivery. Talk about the traction. What's happening? Yeah.
So the traction for this has been insane. I can't say too many details publicly, but what I can say are things like this. This has grown rapidly. We've rocketed to the #1 rated email client on the Mac platform. We are 87% of our reviews are 4 and 5 star. 2/3 of them are 5-star reviews. There are hundreds and hundreds of people saying they love the app in the Mac App Store that anyone can see, and it's been getting a lot of attention. Recently, I've been noticing that half the people I talk to about the company, they say, just last week I was on a screen share and someone saw Kiwi for Gmail in the person's doc and asked the person they're on a meeting with, totally unrelated, about it, and they start gushing about Kiwi for Gmail. I think that's what happens when you have product market fit and when you're able to have a product that is easily shareable.
So hold on. So here's a tweetable one. When you have product market fit, when your customers don't talk about you, they gush about you.
Right.
Right? You're creating this.
Exactly.
Right? But what you're saying is, right? It's a very different feel. I feel for my mirror neurons are firing because I feel your joy, because you're like, oh, that fit, right? We all have been there where we've put that puzzle. We can't figure out that puzzle and move this thing and move it this way. And then, it fits, right? And then part luck, part guessing, part experience. Who knows, right? But that's what you're feeling now.
Let me bring this back. Let me connect this back to what we were saying earlier in the call. You have to have a product people will love, and that gets you product market fit. But you also have to have, in order to get the kind of response that we've had, a lot of people think you just have to have a product people love, and you'll have that great product market fit, and people will just talk about it. That doesn't happen. The best product in the universe would not speak for itself. So the
best product in the universe does not speak for itself. Someone tweet that out.
Right. You have to market it. And so that's what we've done. So we had to market this heavily and very cleverly on social media and so forth in order to be able to get that kind of response. Otherwise, we wouldn't have enough people who even had heard about it in the beginning to start getting that grassroots growth that we're seeing now to happen.
So what are these things that's very exciting to hear? What are these, how did you say it? Skills or smart, or what are these things that you did on social media that you can obviously share, or lessons, if you generalize it,
right?
That helped you create that, what Lori is calling here, market fit and shareability?
I would say one of the key things is picking the right product that you believe has product market fit, and then testing that with people before you go down all the investment of building it. In business school, they call this the stage gate model of planning something out. So you come up with the concept, you come up with the designs, you make pictures of it, and then you show it to people. And if they really love it, then that tells you that you have something that you should probably go and spend the next couple of years building. That's one thing. Second thing is, so test it with consumers before you build it.
Test before you build. Test before you build.
Yes. Second thing I would say is you have to test your marketing as well. And don't be discouraged if when you first start with your marketing and put, what we did was we have images that we put up on Facebook that sort of show up as promoted tweets. People can see them. They can click on them. It goes to our website. We had to test a number of different things. We had maybe 16 versions of those images. We tested video. We tested all sorts of things before we came down to the one that really started working. And you need to do that over and over and over again for typically it takes about 3 or 4 months before you start getting real traction. So there are a lot of people.
I want to stop you here no, go ahead, finish up. But I want to get a little more specific on that.
So here's a big thing. In media, we're all used to hearing these stories, right? Where someone says, hey, here's this entrepreneur. They had this product and it was such a great product that from there it was just a hop, skip, and a jump to a $100 million company. That doesn't happen in reality. The reason why you hear that on media is because they only have like 2 minutes to tell you a story, so they have to shorten it. The reality is it takes all this work and iteration and so forth. That isn't hard to do, but you just sort of do that along the way. You test a lot of marketing, you test different channels, you test the concept before you build the product even, and then you wind up with something that's a success.
Right. So a couple of things here, but this concept of testing and it underlying, because it's very important. Many people test in order to prove themselves right.
Right.
That's not testing. Okay. Right? It's not science, right? You test to prove yourself wrong. You want to prove yourself wrong because then you know 100 ways or 1,000 ways that a light bulb does not work. And you were able to do it, right? So I wanted to clarify that testing piece. But
I
then
tested,
the next piece,
so to give...
Yeah, give specific.
To put that in perspective, we tested, my team and I, we went through roughly, I think it was really about 100 different ideas that we thought were good products that we threw away before we came up with the Kiwi for Gmail idea. We spent
threw
6
away,
months planning.
You created and tested over 100 ideas good ideas that you threw away before you came up to Kiwi for Gmail.
Right, exactly. And that's what I mean when I say pick a product that can be marketed and distributed to the right audience. I mean that. It takes a lot of time to think that through.
Just stop and guys, just chill. Just check this out. Just feel that. That's $44 million advice. Okay? Right. That's how advice works. These are the kinds of advice that, for me, transform who I am. Literally, they have that power. All right? So that is, we have a couple of questions here. You're getting the co-founders here of this conference really excited. So let's actually get some of these questions answered. So we have Jonathan, who's probably just jumping up and down. So how much do you find the product service changed through the testing phase?
I would say it changed quite a bit. We wound up, here's the thing. We started with a concept, we tested that, and we knew that would work fairly quickly, but that was after throwing away all those other ideas. So we landed on a concept that would work. Then when we were building it, then we'd build these different interfaces for the product, build out some features, and we would test it with people. And we had to iterate on many of them, throw them away, and then rebuild them several times over before we wound up with something that people really loved. And that's also kind of the iteration. One of the things everyone's heard, here's a little factoid for you. Everyone's heard release early, release often. That's like the conventional wisdom out there right now about how to build software. I think that's wrong. With your first version of a product, you need to pick something that you can overwhelm with time and resources so that you can relentlessly iterate and test with the consumer so that you know that your product is something that people really want. So first you pick the concept, and then you have to build the product that people really want. Give yourself time to iterate on that and throw things away. Don't do what Samsung does, which is come up with some idea, doesn't really work, throws it out there because they have to get it out in a year, which means they have to develop it in 6 months.
So just FYI, guys, we are on. We have, and Jonathan can put a link in. We're giving the value, to register and to follow this content. But also, we have an Eventbrite where you can actually purchase the transcript. We're going to transcribe these this particular one and many others, and also give some other amazing tools in addition to it. This one is to be bought for sure. I'm going to get that because the transcript of these nuggets is just that good. I'm patting myself on the back for running out of the Keiretsu forum, and instead of going through pros and cons, just saying, Eric, you, me, talk Wednesday now, right? But notice that piece is that stop and do this ahead of time. Look at this, and that the iteration overwhelm with awesomeness, right? Overwhelm people with awesomeness, right. But that's hard work. All right. I want to cover these questions, and I'm gonna turn on you a little bit because I want to be very specific here for things. All right. Lori said, did you create user cases, personas, and scenarios? How did you iterate it and tested this thing?
Absolutely. Very good question. So this is someone with more of a marketing background who's asking this question. This means, like, do you come up with, where is someone going to be using your product, and come out with different cases like that for situations where they're using it, and then who is the person that's using it? For us, in the end, we kept on imagining towards the end, okay, this is someone who's a 25-year-old sitting in a Starbucks with their MacBook Air in front of them, and they're like on Facebook, and they're sending emails to their friends through Gmail. And we kept that in mind. And so we built the product towards that. But you're right. It took iteration to get there. We weren't sure in the beginning who it was. We tested the concept, found out who those people were, and defined our use case.
So how did you test that? When you say you tested those assumptions, how did you test it?
We would do surveys. We would put the product in front of people. And we would see, okay, which are the kinds of people that are actually responding to this? Who really loves this product? And then if you have enough of them, then you can start saying, okay, what age are they? What gender? What profile? What's their household income? Are they students?
You created a ethnographic picture of your ideal customer.
Right. And one of the things that helps with that, by the way,
like I forgot what the right word is, but it's graphic something, right? So it's a full figure, yeah.
And here's a real good tip for anyone out there. The world has changed in the last 2 years. One of the great ways to test this is do a Kickstarter. You can do that on your concept, and you can test that with thousands of people. If your Kickstarter doesn't get traction, maybe you don't have an idea which is so marketable. So iterate. Close that Kickstarter down, do another one. It doesn't cost very much to do these.
Beautiful, right? So watch this. So it happens that my first day I had kickstart this idea with Leo Lam, who is also a Keiretsu Forum investor, and we talked about exactly that. What it brings to me, just even taking it one step out of Kickstarter, because that's just one way. There's Indiegogo, but there's another company called Quirky, where you pitch an idea and it's crowd created, and they send it out to Staples and Best Buy. Or Blab, you can create a Blab event and test things here. The tools here, what's different now than away from 2 years ago, is that the leverage of these tools is tremendous. And so this is the power. So that's what I hear you. All right. So one more question, and then I'm gonna turn on you a little bit. So do you think raising so much money so fast impeded your hustle and perhaps your innovative muscle? Yeah.
That's an interesting question. I think, let me think about that for a second. I think that if we, I think that what really impedes your ability to innovate is if it takes you a really long time to raise funding. So I wouldn't say that necessarily impeded the hustle. I don't think it's an amount of money that can impede your ability.
How fast were you able to raise this money? If you can say this.
It was actually raised over a few rounds. So the first couple rounds took a long time to raise. And those definitely slowed us down because we were on the road a lot and weren't able to stay at home and work on the product in the office. So later on, I think it really helped us that we had like a couple VCs that came in and we were able to raise that from just a couple people and fairly quickly. We were able to continue running the business. So I don't think it's amount of money that can hurt innovation. I think it's how much time it takes to raise.
All right, great advice. All right, so I'm gonna turn on you a little bit. I'm gonna put a different hat on.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna put a little hat on, and I'm gonna because I want you to raise, because you're in the process of raising money. You're in the process of scaling your big idea, right?
Right.
And
right.
I challenged the heck out of you. I heckled you a bit at the end, just because I cared so much. And I'm going to heckle you here just a little bit too, because as a speech coach, that's my speech coach hat.
Nice hat.
Thank you. Yeah, top hat, right? I keep hearing you use the pronoun we and then you, right? When you really mean I, because you're speaking from your experience. All right. So again,
right.
this is me giving you and giving those people in the audience a bit of takeaway home. And I'll explain why this is so critical. Because we said we were excited, we iterated, we tested. Okay, I know why it's done.
Right.
Because you want to be inclusive with your team, because you're not doing this in vacuum. We's don't have
right.
stories.
It's not. Okay.
We's do not have stories, and you can't get into the details. It's literally your door is not opened. So I hear what you want to say, but it's a wall. We use we in order to include, but also in order to protect. It's a human need. So I'm going to ask you to use I just for fun. People pay me a lot of money just to tell them this little bit of fact, but it'll transform your pitch too, because it'll make it even more authentic. So let's just test it out. All right. And by the way, if you guys want to hear about that, that'll be in 2 hours on the Art of a Powerful Pitch. You said that you tested it with many customers, correct? You said we tested it with many customers. Who are we in this case? Was it you, or did you have someone on your team that did it?
This was me, my co-founder Ryan Shetley, who's our CTO, and there were a couple other people as well that came in from the outside that helped us. So but it was mostly myself and my co-founder Ryan.
Responsible about taking this and figuring out that perfect mix.
I would say that would be me, effectively playing the role of chief marketing officer in the company.
Okay.
It's applying a lot of the experience that I had in the past, but it really helps to have a strong team around you that really understands that and can work with that. And I think that my team is an incredible team.
Perfect. So you were able, but notice the difference here. The data is the same. It's still a we. But you were making the decision look at these new nuances that are just coming out just because you're changing the pronoun. You were acting not as a CEO, but a CMO. And you were using the experiences from previous. And you have specific team. What were their roles? What was the role of your co-founder in that particular, in the testing and finding that fit?
A big part of that, he's really rare in that he's an engineer and a developer. My background is that too, but there are very few of those people who have a very good insight about the user and how people want to use a product and what's appealing to them. And so he and I, a lot of what we've built is kind of the brainchild of both of us, because we would both kind of discuss these ideas, we put them together, we test them. I knew how to test these things, and then we would iterate based on that. And so that's kind of the role.
Right. So I'm being
board.
like an excavator, right? So watch this. So you said
Okay.
that there were two people who are really at the
Yeah.
heart of Kiwi. Remember, these are, the data is the same, but we are getting completely new data uncovered, specifics, focus. It's like zooming in, focusing in.
Right.
We talked about partners here all along the way and how it's
Right.
critical to create partners. And you have
Right.
two engineers. One is an amazing communicator, just saying. And
thank
the
you.
other one understands the customer really well. Is that what I understand? What's your
Understands
co-founder's
the
name?
customer, especially Ryan Shetley, especially as it
Ryan.
relates to technology.
Especially as
In
it
fact-
relates to technology, which is, how is that different from what your specialty is?
My specialty is I have a background in technology as well, but I've spent years successfully marketing consumer products to the consumer. And so
he's
that
the
is something
technology guy, and you're you have that marketing sense.
Right. Yes.
So that means that you see, we is not helpful because we don't do anything. Their eyes and hims and hers, and then that gives me lessons, a process to recreate. Because I am more of a marketing guy, I'm not a technology guy. But if you ask me to do both, the company will fail. Yes?
Yeah, that's right. You have to have people who can specialize and who have the different skill sets, because otherwise it just doesn't work. You need to have people can't. It's difficult for someone to have spent years developing things.
You have it. Yeah,
I have. Right.
That's what you created. I'm sorry to turn it on you because I just feel so inspired by what you're doing that I wanted to share this and see how even the best of us have that curse of knowledge. So the great question is, and that's exactly where I was going next from Jonathan, is what is the next step for Eric and for the company at this point? Because I also asked you a very poignant question, which you don't need to repeat or discuss, but that maybe changed or made you think about things. So what's the next step for you, and what is it that you need? And then what is the next step for your overall company?
Well, I'd say this. In order to build Kiwi for Gmail, we had to build a technology which is the only thing in the world that is anything like it, that can take a complex web application out of the browser and turn it into a great desktop application. And so there are lots of products that are out there that we're planning to do that with.
So stop and guys, are you guys feeling this? Because that's how I felt when I heard that, right? I almost felt, and in fact, you didn't even share it that way. I kind of figured it out and I almost fell off a chair.
Right. The reason why that's valuable.
Can you repeat that again?
Right.
What is it that you've developed?
So we built the world's only software platform for taking a complex web application out of the browser and turning it into a complete desktop user experience with desktop relevant features and multitasking and windows and all that sort of stuff. A browser is built for doing kind of one thing at a time. And if you can take a browser tab out of the browser, integrate it with the OS, then you have something which is much more powerful.
So, how's that for an answer, Johnson?
Speech coach?
Are you blown away? Hey, man, you heard me. You reiterated it. And the beauty is this is recorded, and we can literally, yeah. And does that, knowing that, so is that clear for you now, having worked with, having us talk about it, and how is that changing strategy for you, perhaps, or maybe not? So what are the specific next steps for you, and how can people here support you?
I would say one of the things that would really help support us is just people sharing the word about Kiwi for Gmail, getting that out there. As I said earlier in the call, anyone who tweets at Kiwi for Gmail and hashtag SELBlab15, we're going to get you a full copy of it. This is for Mac users only at this point, and will. I think just helping us spread the word. So we're growing really rapidly, and talking with folks about the product really helps us quite a lot.
When is it going to be? Yeah, when is it going to be for Windows? Do you have any? Is that the direction you're going to go, or any
that
projections?
Is something that we're working on. I think that I can say that that's something that we're going to have in the second half of next year. I wouldn't want to get more specific than that, but that's something that we get a lot of requests for. People really like it. So
yeah, and it may not even be the right strategy because, as you say, there is a specific reason why you want to build on the Apple platform first. So if your idea is not, if your focus is not Kiwi for Gmail, but transforming the way online web applications of all kinds transfer to desktop, maybe your whole plan is to go through and fully fill up and saturate the Apple market before going into anything else. I mean, I could see that. David is asking, what did he say to do to get Kiwi from them? Just tweet Kiwi at Kiwi for Gmail and then hashtag SCLblab15. So, okay, well, we're coming out to the end of our talk. People's minds have been blown. And I just want you, those of you who are watching, to really understand the significance of what we're doing here. We are really transforming the way we share information about startups, and we can help each other. Are you looking for particular people to fill your team? Are you looking for are there who's that you're looking for?
I would say strong marketers, people who have a background working with Google or working with Microsoft who would like to come in and work with us. Those would be great people to have. Marketing and former Google and Microsoft employees.
Done.
Done. I happen to be married to one. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
But anyways, the amazing information, Eric. I look forward to seeing you on the road and fundraising. Much luck for you. And those of you, we're about to hear my co-hosts, and we're about to get into our next session, which we're going to talk about in just a second. But again, big applause for Eric, and register and get the information that you need.
Eric.
Outstanding job.
Thank you very much.
Well done. Great interview, Leo.
Well done.
Phenomenal content.
Well done. And thanks. And I already tweeted I think I should get a prize because I think I'm the first one to tweet it out.
I tweeted it.
Yeah, but no, it was really great. I really look forward to it. I just really quickly looked at the platform, and I'm looking forward to trying it out. But really, excellent job. Excellent takeaways for everybody. This launch day just gets better and better. It's just so great. So excited.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you. Well, reach out to Eric if you, Eric, it's okay.
I just want to say to Eric real quick, love to connect with you in the city. I'm in New York also, and would love
great.
to meet you for coffee and maybe have a chat offline. So I just followed you on Twitter. Follow me back and I'll DM you.
Okay. Awesome. I'll do that.
All right. And then
thank you very much, everyone.
The company I founded is not going public. I think I said it in the chat.
Right. You saw that.
But we're ringing the opening bell next week on the 23rd.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Take care, Eric.
Be in touch.
Just kind of blew my mind and changed the whole paradigm about how I was thinking about negotiation. And I've since read 2 books that he recommended, and I can't wait to read his book, which is coming out, which is all about negotiating tips. But the core concept, I'm sure we'll cover it in the opening thing. What applies in negotiating for hostages is just so powerful in any other negotiating situation, whether you're negotiating with your kids, to go to bed at night, or whether you're negotiating with a salesperson at a retail store, or negotiating to buy a car, or negotiating with a venture capitalist on a term sheet for your deal. The principles remain the same, and I'm all about the principles that that work, best practices, because you can utilize those in multiple areas of your life. And he's absolutely brilliant.